welcome to my Patreon. I'm Christina Grace Mastrangelo, and I wanted to share with you how to use this platform. When you sign in, this is what your homepage is going to look like, and you can see here on the upper right hand corner. So when you're clicked on home, you'll see my heading, and you'll also see my latest post. This is showing what it looks like when you're subscribed to all of the tiers, which would be mini lessons and exercises. And when you subscribe to that, it includes all of those, all the videos, all the podcasts, and all the studio tours. So you can see here it's recent posts. And then it goes through my folders. So I have a bunch of collections. There's studio setup, there's popular posts, collections, products. So some of these are for sale individually. But where I like to go, if I'm looking for something specific, is to go over to the top right and go to collections. So if I click on collections, you can see that they're organized in these categories. So if we were to click on About Classical Realism here, you will then see all of the posts related to classical realism. Okay, so some of them are podcasts, some of them are studio tours. It just depends on what post it is, but they're all going to be under this category. You can also view it if you don't want to see the actual image. You could view it more where it's more writing next to it, but I like to look at it like this. You can also search within here or put filters down. So let's say you want to search a post and you want to find something about site size. You could search that and it will show you some results. And that would be within the classical realist category. But if we go back, this would be the collections homepage. So collections right up here. Collections are separated. So what I do when I make a post, I make 4 new posts every month, and I'll put them into their category. So studio setup. I have 16 posts on studio setup. So if we click through here, you could see I talk about buying the right plaster cast or how to set it up at home, your site size studio setup, all of these things, even if you're going to have a model. And if you're working from the flat. So all of these are going to help you understand sort of the world of the classical realist artist. Some people, if they're just beginning, what I recommend for you to do is kind of go in order here. So understand classical realism. Take a look at the studio setup and get a feel for it. Now, you may not be able to do your studio setup as I do it. Obviously, I've been doing this for a long time, and if you're just starting out, you're not going to be able to do that, but you could get an idea of the type of easels I use or the lighting and things like that. Concept essentials is something that you don't want to go any further without understanding some of these. So, and this one would be to find the shadow edge. Finding shadow edges is extremely important when we're trying to draw realistically. Shading, understanding shading, mini lesson and exercise, and understanding the principles of realism, that's huge. So there's all of these that I would take the time to go through each one. Then we have drawing essentials. So you'll see things like the materials that you'll want to have, how to sharpen your pencil, the skill set and tool guide. If you've ever taken a workshop with me, like the 10-day workshop, the skill set and tool guide is like our holy grail of the step-by-step process. And it's just a beautifully written out handout of basically everything that I would talk about in the workshop summarized for you. And then there are shape exercises. So a lot of the curriculum, I would say, starts here with drawing. When we were in school, and this was a 3-year program for us, we would spend almost a year and a half drawing. We would do bark drawing. That was very essential. So for anyone starting out, these are in order of how you should go through and do those projects. We also have a folder on site size. So site size is the method that we use for this. And it can be a little bit confusing. You want to make sure you know about the click-in point if you're working from live. You want to know how far to step back. So all of these are going to help you understand that. And some of these videos are even from workshops. So you get a sense of how thorough your education can be by going through and looking at these posts. Oil Painting Essentials 33. So here we are with a bunch of things that are really going to help, like pre-mixing or mediums or laying out the palette, materials, laying down a ground color, saving money on oil painting. My studio tours are basically blog posts, so that's why I called them the studio tour, because I wasn't quite sure what else to call them. But those are essential because you have definitions that you need to get used to. So I would go through, understand, and go through those sort of in order. It is in your best interest, most likely, to subscribe to the highest tiers, because you gain access to all of the information and can go through it sort of one at a time. The first couple tiers are great, though, on their own. So I do have a tier that's dedicated to podcasts. There's 89 podcasts in this folder. So when you click on this, these are less organized. They're more like, what did I just talk about most recently? So the most recent ones are on top. But all this pertains to art business. So I talk about my career path, where to begin your classical realist path, having a mentor, planning, teaching. All this stuff is very relevant, and it goes on and on and on. Some of the older folders I'll draw attention to would be like master copies. So master copies are a great way to get to know how to paint and draw and how to see. And so I go through, and a lot of these are extremely helpful, because sometimes when we're learning to paint, we have the model in front of us and we paint it in our way and we see it in our way. But if you can study a painting through the eyes of a master artist, then you can start to see how they're seeing. So how are they painting lips? How soft are the corners of the lips? Or in terms of value, what's the value that is making this look having, like, it has volume? Or color mixing and matching. I do a lot of those demos. Color mixing and matching is essential. If you know how to mix and match colors that are in front of you, that's a huge part of the battle that is over. So there's plenty of posts on master copies, including landscape master copies, drapery master copies, etc. I do a lot of flower painting recently, so there's a lot of information about this subject. A lot of long videos. So this one's quite a long video. This one's split into 2 parts. So you really get a sense of watching over my shoulder when I'm doing it. One of these is an hour long. Some of them are short. Some of the videos are only 20 minutes. But they are what you would learn in a workshop, or if you did a private lesson with me. We have figure drawing and portrait painting. So figure drawing, I will be adding more to this coming up. But this is great because I go through with a lecture. I show you how to think about the gesture and how to start your drawing. And then I actually do the demo, give homework, do another demo. And you could see there's a bunch of references here, even so much as giving you practice images to use, to draw from. pet portraits, that's fun. Getting creative, so how to sort of stimulate that process. Framing is a huge part of this career. Solo shows and exhibit prep. Workshops, I could add so much more to this. I usually don't, but you can get a sense of what some of those workshops are like. Knowing Photoshop a little bit, so how to use Photoshop for the artist. Some recommended reading. This one, Grants, Contracts, and More. This one's great. It's sort of everything else. So a lot of it is business, but it's more written out. It's not the podcast. So you can see they're behind the scenes working on a commission, or you could see an example of like how I keep track of my inventory, selling prints, really neat stuff. I hope you find this tour helpful, but thank you for being a patron. It helps me to continue to put out this information for everyone. So thank you.